In this video I'm going to show you how you can use PRAAT to label things. I've got a file here of Guyanese Creole called Dog. Sounds like this.
Dog there, Mr. Dog. Dog no there, dog.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to label this with two kinds of label. One showing you where the words begin and end, and another one showing you where the voiced portions in the WAV file begin and end. So the first thing we need to do is to make a new PRAAT object which will contain the labels. And to do that, first make sure you have the sound file highlighted of the file that you want. Then choose the Annotate button and then choose where it says here to text grid. And it offers you a number of boxes where you fill in the information. First of all, we're going to fill in the tier information, and I'm going to have two tiers, one which I'll call word and the other which I'll call plus minus voice. And for now we will ignore this question here, which one of these are point tiers. Hit OK, and you can see that we've got a new object in the PRAAT window called text grid and then the name of the file. Now, in order to label the sound file, you need to edit both the sound and the text grid files together. And to do that, you can click the button that's highlighted called View and Edit with Sound, like that, where we get instructions about what we should do, or the way I normally do it is just select both of the files like that, and then click the View and Edit. Now, we've got, as you can see, a new window, and it looks a bit like the kind of window we're used to seeing. So it's got a waveform at the top and underneath it a spectrogram. But it's now got two tiers, one here called word and one here called plus minus voice. These were the two tiers that we set up when we filled in the dialog button. First I'm going to just zoom in on this bit
Dog there.
And go select. And what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to mark the beginnings and the ends of the words. So to do this, first I'm going to put the cursor where I think the word begins, which is just about there next to that little spike. And you can see that the red cursor that goes through the wave and the spectrogram has produced two blue circles underneath, and if you click on these blue circles, either one of them, you can see it puts in a new boundary, like a blue line. So actually this tier here I want, it's the word tier, so I'm going to, if I click on word, you see it, if I click on word it highlights that tier, if I click on voice it highlights that tier. I want the word tier. Okay, so that's the beginning. Now I want to find the end of the first word, which is dog, and so I'm going to put the cursor roughly where I think it is, and then you see I'm going to click on this upper blue circle here where in the word tier, and it's put a new boundary in. Now I can move this boundary around like that. Just hold the mouse button down and drag and move, and you change where the boundary is. You can now select the bit between the two labels just by clicking on the area between the two boundaries. And if you listen to that,
Dog, 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 dog.
see, that sounds a bit like the beginning of the first word. I think I've gone a little bit too far. I think I probably want to go to about there.
Dog, dog, dog.
Okay, let's say that's where dog begins and ends. So now I want to put a label in. You can see in the top of the window there's a little cursor flashing away. You can type anything in there. If you type in the word dog, so first of all it appears up here in the window, but also it appears underneath there. And now I'm going to do the next word, which is dare, and so I'm going to select like that. I think it's there.
There, there, there.
it's there. So we'll do that. And so on. You can work your way through the file. I'm not going to do that now. But you can kind of see the principles of this, I hope. But now I want to label the bits that are voiced and the bits that are not voiced, and so I'm going to edit the second tier. So there we go, like that. I've clicked on where it says voice, and now, because this is a bit more fiddly, I think I really need to zoom in and have a look. So I'm going to highlight part of the waveform, go select, and it looks to me like there's some periodicity starting about here, so I'm going to put the beginning of the segment there. Now all of this that we can see is voiced. If I just scroll along, all of that continues to be voiced. You can see this periodic stuff all through the waveform, so it's all voiced, all voiced, all voiced. And then here it's also voiced up to about there, roughly. Let's zoom in and just double check. So go select. And now see, if I click down in the window where it says voice and I highlight the blue bar and I get the red one, I can just grab it and slide it along. So you can actually be very precise with your labels. So that's the bit that I think is plus voice. So I'm going to type in the label plus voice, and then I'm going to go out and out and out and out and scroll along. Now you can see I originally made a mistake and I've put a boundary where I don't really want it to be. You have a choice. You can remove it. Just go to, so first of all click in the yellow box next to it, and the cursor that's highlighted that is now yellow, that's the one we can play with. If you go up to boundary and you want to remove it, you click remove, like that. So let's say we want to remove that. Now at the end you can see there's a bit that I've labelled as part of the word that looks voiceless, so let's zoom in on that part there. So it's the end here where the voicing stops, and then here you can see there's some friction that dies away. So I want to label the very end part here as minus voice, so I'll do that. Okay, so there we go. Now I could carry on like this and do the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that just now. So that's how you do labeling of intervals. There's a couple of other files that I'm going to show you about labeling. And the other thing that you need to remember to do is to save your work. So once you've finished, you close this. Make sure that you remember to highlight the text grid and the sound file, and then save as a binary file like I showed you in one of the other earlier videos. And I say this because labeling takes a lot of time, and if you just close PRAAT now without saving your work, you're going to have to do it all over again, which would be very annoying. Okay, more in the next file about other kinds of labeling.